Welcome back to the Construction Profit Blueprint. My name is Eric Anderton, and I'm teaching you a process I've used with contractors for over a decade to help them to identify, analyze, and then maximize their profit opportunities. In the last session, we were talking about identifying those profit opportunities. Now, in this session, we're going to talk about analyzing those profit opportunities. Have you ever been in a meeting that was really a waste of time? Have you ever gathered your people together and talked about how you're going to overcome the challenges that you face or how you're going to maximize the opportunities that you face, but it never seems to work the way that you want to? If you're going to run a business that really is able to maximize the profit opportunities that you have in your organization, I want to teach you a process to help you to do that, and that's where the analyze step comes in. Now, you remember that this whole process of the Construction Profit Blueprint is a lesson in leadership for you as the leader of the organization. It requires courage, and with this analyze step here, what you've got to be able to do is you've got to be able to get ideas, and what that requires for you as a leader is humility. You've got to get ideas, and that requires humility. Now let me explain to you how that works. If you've thought about your business and you've identified areas in your bidding, your building, or your billing that need to get improvement, then the next step is to gather your team to begin to think through and discuss how it is that you can improve. Now, I have taught people how to do this for years and years and years. So in order for you to be able to analyze those profit opportunities that you have in your organization, you're going to have to do something you probably don't like. You're going to have to call a meeting. Now, I don't know about you, but I've wasted many hours of my life in bad meetings. And that's why I've dedicated a lot of the work that I do with construction companies to teaching them how to run good meetings. So let me break it down for you a little bit. I'm going to draw you a little triangle here. And what you need to be able to do first to run a good meeting is you need to gather the team. Then you need to set the rules. And then you need to use a good structure. So when you're gathering the team to really analyze a problem that you have in your business, I like to use what I call the 70, 20, 10 rule. Okay? When you're analyzing one of the profit opportunities that you have in your company, you want to be able to gather the team to discuss that. And that's why I like the 70, 20, 10 rule. Let me give you an example. Let's say you decided that you really need to nail the niche that you should be going after as far as your sales and marketing efforts are concerned. 70% of the people involved in that discussion should be directly affected by it. Your estimators, the executive leaders of your team, the people who are involved in the sales of your organization. Second, 20% of the people should be people who are indirectly affected by that. So I would recommend that if you're going to discuss the niche that you're going to go after, in other words, the location of your business as far as the jobs you'll do, the types of jobs and the types of clients you're going to work with, you should bring in 20% of the people from the field. You should bring in your superintendent and maybe a couple of key foremen in order to be involved in that discussion. And then I'd also bring in 10% of the people who are indirectly, okay, and then I'll also bring in 10%. 10% yeah. Ready? And then you should bring in 10% of the people who are not affected directly at all. Okay, so that would be people who are involved in billing, because they may have some insights into the types of clients who pay more readily and the types of jobs that you do that are more profitable. So make sure when you're running a meeting that you gather the team using the 70, 20, 10 rule. Then the next step is to set the rules. Set the rules for the meeting. And in meetings, I have 3 simple rules. Number 1, no interruptions. So that means when you come into a meeting to analyze your profit opportunities, you've got to turn your cell phones off. Now, I know this is really tough for a lot of people, but you cannot be focused on really exploiting profit opportunities if you're allowing a bunch of distractions. So make sure that you set aside time, don't do it on a bid day, set aside time so that you can be focused and undistracted with no cell phones, nobody doing their Twitter feeds or their Facebook updates or any junk like that, so that you can be undistracted. The second rule is that there's no sidebar conversations. So in other words, have you ever been in a meeting where someone's trying to lead the meeting and then other people are having conversations in the back of the room that may be related to the meeting, but they also serve as a distraction? No sidebar conversations, okay? Everybody is focused, eyes in the front. Let's talk about how we can analyze this profit opportunity. And then the third rule is this: conflict is okay. Conflict is okay. When you get into a meeting with a bunch of people with opinions and a bunch of people with ideas, you're going to get conflict. Now, in the construction company, I find that there's two ways that people enter into conflict. Number one, it gets really heated, too much intensity, too much personal stuff enters in, and then nothing ever gets done. Or people don't enter into conflict. They shy away from it. Maybe you're the problem as the leader of the company. Your personality is too big and you don't allow people to really give their ideas. So you have to be willing for good, healthy conflict in any meeting that you conduct. So after you set the rules, the next thing you want to do is have a real clear meeting structure to help you run the meeting effectively. So here's a meeting structure that you can use. Point number one, you always want to have a green light in your meetings. In other words, when you're running a meeting, there's no bad ideas, okay? And everyone gets to participate. If you're in the meeting, 70, 20, 10, if you're part of that group, then you're participating, bringing your ideas. Number two, you've got to gather those ideas once they're generated. So get yourself a flip chart like this, get yourself a whiteboard. The whole idea is you want to get the ideas that people give you up on the board so that people can begin to think about them and process them through. And then number three, you want to identify the MVI, not the MVP, but the MVI. In other words, what is the most valuable idea? Because if you run a good meeting, you're going to be gathering tons of different ideas for how you can exploit the profit opportunities that you have. You're going to come up with great ideas about the niche, let's say, if you're diving into how to improve your niche marketing. But you can't pursue every single idea, right? Because you still got to bid, build, and build your projects. But at the same time, you've got to be able to identify the very best idea, the MVI, and then build a plan around how you're going to execute that MVI in order to increase the profitability of your organization. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how you can take your MVI and then turn that into an action plan. Because the next step of the process is maximize. Once you've identified your profit opportunities, once you've analyzed them, then you've got to maximize them. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that in the next video.